Hey, what's up? Simon here from Light Rider, and welcome to another very exciting video tutorial where we're going to be talking about multibars. So let's get right to it. Okay, multibars. So, we love them, we hate them, but they're here to stay. They're multi-effects bars. So, the multi-bar that I've got over here is the Eurolight KLS Laser Bar Pro Effects, something like that. Anyway, they're pretty much all the same, these multi-bars. I think most of them come out of the same factory. You have multi-bars from Chauvet, Eurolight, Cameo. In fact, I'll just show you a couple of multi-bars over here, just in case you haven't seen them before. So this one is from Cameo, and you see you get a couple of parkans in the middle, a derby or derby, I have no idea how they're pronounced, so I'm going to call them derbies. I bet it's wrong, but whatever. So we've got a derby over here on the left, two pars in the middle, a derby on the right. Then we have four very bright lasers over here. Sorry, not lasers, strobe lights. These are white strobe lights. And some also have UV strobe lights. And then on the top here we have a laser module. Some of them have some form of Wi-Fi built in that can go to like an effects pedal. But obviously today we're going to be using the DMX features. So this is the one from Cameo. We've also got bars from Eurolight or Steinerkate. This was kind of the first one that came out. It just had four parkans on the front, just for changing some colours. Then they introduced more and more features, and as you see now, there's all sorts of stuff. What else do we have? This is the one from Chauvet, the Gig Bar, or Gig Bar 2 in this case. And this is one of the latest ones. I really like the look of this one. This is the Gig Bar Move, and it basically adds a couple of moving heads on the bottom. So they're multi-bars. So the one I have over here is the Eurolight bar, and honestly, I didn't like these so much when they were first introduced. The reason being is that it's one fixture and it has channels all over the place. It's really difficult to make the profile, and it's really difficult to make it in a way where it's easily compatible with all our products. But then over time I noticed they were getting more and more popular, and honestly I've kind of grown to love them now. You grab the bar, you put it on just a T-bar on a tripod. In this case I've actually got this one hung up on this piece of truss, so I have a couple of mounting brackets which ship with it on the side. And then you switch it on, you connect the power, you connect your XLR cable, you set the DMX address, and boom, you've got yourself a light show. When I think back to when I used to do mobile disco, I had two T-bars, I had a couple of scanners I would rig on each one, and I would have some LED pars as well. And honestly, powering all those up and linking the XLR cables, all in the space of about 40 minutes that I had to set up before a wedding or a birthday party, it was a real pain. It took a long time. So I mean, these things are great actually for disco setups. It's just using them with DMX controllers can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Now, these didn't really exist when we designed Light Rider. We started designing Light Rider about 5 years ago. So it was before these bars were popular. For future versions of Light Rider, we want to add more functionality to be able to get easier compatibility with these bars. So Light Rider can't do everything out of the box. There are a few little hacks and a few workarounds that I'm going to show you today. But I'll basically show you now how to get the best out of your multi-effects bars. Just one more thing to mention is Jan's Light Rider playbook. That's Jan at stage 223. He's basically written a book that can be used to accompany the existing Light Rider documentation, and that has a whole chapter on how to use multibars, so I'd recommend checking that out as well. So let's get to it. Alright, here I have Light Rider, and right now I don't have anything patched in. So I'm going to go into the main menu. I'm going to go to Fixtures and then select Brand. Eurolight. And if I type KLS, here we go, this is the one I've got. Now we need to select the mode. Now lots of these bars come in several different modes, and it all depends what kind of functionality you want. So for example, 3-channel mode will have a basic set of functionality, and it's designed for if you're using a traditional controller and you only have a limited number of channels or sliders. But in Light Rider we want to get the most out of this fixture, so I'm going to select 28-channel mode. So always select the one with the most channels, it normally gives you the best results. And I'm going to press to add the fixture here. Now I have this fixture, let me just check my DMX address mappings, because obviously you have to set the DMX address on the bar itself. It can be any address as long as it matches Light Rider. So I've got mine set to address 126, I think. So let's see if we can select it from here. Okay, and we've got light. Alright, I'm also just going to add the smoke machine, so we can see some of these beams a little bit better. So I've got the Stairville AFH 600, and I have that patched to address 125. So this tutorial is not going to be as difficult, complex, or as long as the previous one. We're going to spend a bit more time at the end to open it up to questions. So Piers will be with me at the end, like last time. So feel free to post your questions in the Facebook stream, and Piers will make a note of some, and we'll go through them at the end of the webinar. So let's go over to the live screen. I'm going to add some fog just to bring this to life a little bit. I'm using a Stairville hazer. For anyone who wants some more information about it, check out the first tutorial that I did last week, where I explained about all the kit I've got connected here. Put a little bit more in. Okay. So, what do we actually have here? I'm going to put this back in full screen. So this one's called a Derby or Derby. Then we have 2 LED bars over here. Then we have another Derby over here. Then we have 4 bright white LED strobes at the top. And then we have a red and green laser at the top in the middle here. Now as you see, Light Rider switches everything on by default, so let's see what we can do with it. Alright. So firstly, if we go to the master dimmer, we can dim the whole thing up and down. Now as you see, the strobes don't dim, and I'll explain why that happens in a second. Now in your version of Light Rider, you might find the pars and the derbies don't dim at the same time. This is a bug which we've actually fixed in the next version, and that's the version I'm trying out at the moment. Our developers sent me this version about 1 hour ago, so living life on the edge again here. Let's hope it stays running for us. But there we go, we can dim up and down like so. So the problem with these white lights on the top is that they don't actually have a dimmer, and therefore we can't dim them up and down. They're either on, they're off, or they're strobing. So unfortunately with Light Rider, when you dim a channel like this, it looks for a dimmer channel on the light, and because these strobes don't have a dimmer channel, they are on constantly. which I know is a bit frustrating. There is a workaround where you can actually swap the channel type from a shutter channel to a dimmer channel. And I'll be running a tutorial tomorrow on how to modify and create your own profiles. So more on that then. But if you do change it to a dimmer channel, it means the strobe's not going to work. And we all love strobes. So, what I tend to do with these lights, I'm going to go into the fixtures screen. Here's my laser bar here, and I'm going to scroll over here. So it starts off with the derby, then you've got a couple of pars, then you've got another derby, then you've got your laser, and then you've got your strobes at the end. Now, although all these bars are different, they all have a similar layout. So if you've got a Chauvet gig bar, for example, and you patch the mode with the most channels, you should have a similar channel layout as what you see here. So these strobes are at the bottom. The other screen's hiding it a little bit, so let me just let's do another orientation like this. Okay, so if I bring these down to 0, as you see, these lights switch off, and underneath them you get these cool UV lights, and that's the last channel. So if I turn that up, these lights can strobe. Turn it down, and they switch off. Over here you've got your laser, red laser, green laser. So if I want the laser off, I can switch it off like this. So now let's go back to the live screen, and I'm going to save this as preset 1. So I'll touch and hold, and I'll press save preset. Okay, let's bring this back into a format we can see a little easier. So my main recommendation with these bars is to not have everything on at once all the time. It's kind of like with music. If you want to have a good drop in your DJ set, what you do is you tone down the music first, and then you build up the music, and then you drop the music back down. And it's these kind of contrasts that make a DJ set interesting. And to make your lighting set interesting, you should also have these contrasts. So, you know, it's easy to just think, oh, I want everything on at once, all the time, doing all the colours. But I'm going to show you some things that you can do to really take advantage of these contrasts and make something a little bit special with these bars. I'll just put a bit more smoke into the room. Okay. Oh, by the way, another thing you can do with these derbies, you can kind of rotate them a little bit. So again, if I go to the fixtures screen, if I go to the built-in effects, I think it's this channel, let's just whack this up to maximum. Yeah, that looks cool. Now let's go to the other one and do the same. Very nice. Back over to the live screen, and let's save that in preset 1. Okay, I'm liking it. Now, I know it can be a little bit frustrating, constantly jumping between the live screen and the fixtures screen, and we do want to make some improvements in future. I can't tell you when, we're not sure yet, but we've got tons of ideas on how we want to improve this. But honestly, you only really have to do this once, and it's not so much work. If you can spare half an hour just to have a play about, you can build up a really interesting set. So I've got this kind of effect, I quite like that. Now I'm going to have an effect where, let's say these are doing kind of a slow rainbow. I like that, so I'll store that inside preset 2. Alright, that's cool. Now maybe one with... Yeah, that's quite cool. That's quite cool. So I'm going to store that inside preset 3. So you see straight away we got preset 1 here with everything in red. We've got preset 2 doing a very slow colour change. And then we've got preset 3 doing a funky symmetrical chaser effect. Now I like these UV lights, so I think I'm going to add some UV lights to this as well. So if I go back into the fixtures, let's go right to the end here. And let's reset this UV strobe over here to bring these UV lights on. Yeah, I'm liking that. Let's go back to live and let's save that. Cool. I can hit the strobe button to have everything we see here strobing. I like it. I like it. Okay. So something else, just to really show you how contrasts and stuff can be really effective. I'm going to make something now where I've literally just got maybe the laser and the UV lights on. So I'm going to go over to preset 5 over here. Okay, let's leave these here. Let's leave these over here. Bit of blinder. Like it. Just check my subs here. Oh yeah, I stored something earlier where I had the submaster down. There we go, let's put this back up. Okay, so let's go back over to the fixture screen. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's take that submaster back down. Okay. Let's go back to the fixture screen. Let's take these white LED strobes off again, and I'm going to take the UV off as well. Oh yeah, look at what we're left with now. And if we go to the laser, let's add a bit of rotation to that laser. Now we're talking. I'm going to keep these UVs on, I think, as well. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I'll go back to the live screen and save that in preset 5. Alright, so you see you can go from something like this to boom, something like this. And you see these contrasts are really effective. And then over to something like this. I do tend to keep these derbies or derbies rotating all the time. I think they're much more effective when they rotate like this. Bit of sparkle maybe. Maybe we'll limit some of these colours. Just use some reds and pinks and blues. Yeah, I quite like that. Let's put this in preset 6. Okay, so we have preset 1. Preset 2. Preset 3. Preset 4. Preset 5. And preset 6. So you see we're only 20 minutes into the video, including all the introduction, and I've already got a really effective light show. And we can use the techniques we learnt yesterday as well to synchronize some of these effects to the music as well. So, for example, was it preset 3? I had this effect going on. Yep. So if I go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check that out. Let's put some strobe on. Nice. Bit of blinder. So, although it is a little bit frustrating jumping between the live screen and the fixture screen, as you can see, you can build up something quite effective very quickly. So now I'm going to show you another little technique, because when we open the subs here, we've only got one dimmer. And the reason we've only got one dimmer is because it's only one fixture profile. And when Light Rider creates these subs, it only looks at one profile at a time. Again, we want to make some updates in future to bring in like a new concept of like multiple lights inside of one light, but it's just not possible at the moment. So one way you can get a little bit more control is to actually split the fixture profile up into individual profiles. So I've already done this just to test. So I'm going to go to an empty project here. And I'm going to go to fixtures. Now I've created these on my Light Cloud account. I'll explain more about this tomorrow. But if we go to Eurolight. So I'm going to start with the KLS Laser Bar Pro Effects Derby. And let's add one of these. And the DMX address I've got this set to is 126. So again, this takes a little bit of time. Let's see how quickly I can do it. After that, we've got a spot. I'm pretty sure it's a spot anyway. And this just follows on. 131. Then I've actually got another spot. So that will come in at 136, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is working. Then another derby. Oops. Not sure I selected the right fixture there. Another derby. Okay. And this is one... You see, I'm looking for the gap just here. So you see 119, 120, 121, which means it must be 141. Okay. Oops, I just added another one of those. And then after that, we've got the laser. Okay, and the laser comes in at 146. That's all looking good. And then after that, we've got the strobe LEDs. And we've got 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it could be cool to move the address of a multi-selection of lights. Maybe we'll do that in future. It would make this process a little bit quicker. Two more to go. And basically we offer a service where we can create fixture profiles for you. Piers loves creating these multibars. So, call Piers. It's his favourite job. Email Piers. He'll get back to you. Okay, so what do we have now? Let's go back to the live screen. And if I open the subs, now I've got separate dimmers. So I can dim independently my derbies and my pars. And these two, again, because they don't have dimmer channels, they won't dim. But you could set them up to have dimmer channels. If you're not interested in strobing these lights, you could swap the shutter channel for a dimmer channel, and that would allow you not to dim them, but to at least switch them on and off with this slider. It depends what you prefer. In that case, what you would do if you wanted it to strobe, you would have to go to the fixtures screen and set a manual level for strobing. So you choose between the two, basically. You either set manual levels for dimming, or you set manual levels for strobing. Sorry, we can't do both. So let's bring these back up again. Now, something else you might have noticed, and this is a common thing on all these bars, they all work right to left instead of left to right. I'm not quite sure why they've done it like this, but sometimes if you've got other lights that you're mixing with them, it can be quite annoying because your other lights might be addressed from the left of your stage to the right of your stage, and then suddenly you put one of these bars up and everything's backwards. So by having these individual profiles, you can actually move them and change the order. Now, a top tip, obviously these names are truncated and we can't really see what they say. So what you can do is select here, and I could just call this Derby 1. I could call this one Par 1. In fact, because they're backwards, I'm going to call this Derby 2. I'm going to call this one Par 2. I'm going to call this one Derby 1. Nope, sorry, that was Par 1. I'm going to call this one Derby 1. And then I'm going to call this one Laser. I'm not going to do the strobes for now. Okay, that makes these much easier to see. And now what we can do is actually rearrange them. So I'm going to take Derby 1 and put it at the top. Then I'm going to get Par 1 then I'm going to get par 2. So now these are now arranged in basically this order, going from left to right, which matches with the rest of my install. So if I was to bring back in these LED bars or scanners and make a chaser, they're going to chase from here, over the top, and then back down this side. Whereas before, they would have come up here, then they would have played in reverse here, and then gone back down the side. It's really important you get these fixture orders correct. I know it takes a little bit more time during setup, but it makes the whole show look a lot more effective. So, now let's see this in action. So, for example, if I play a symmetrical outwards effect, you see these are now playing symmetrically outwards, and then inwards. They now come inwards. If I put a bit of a bigger size, just so you can kind of see them. There we go. Was there anything else I wanted to mention? Oh yeah, something else. This roll LED, this roll dial in the middle can be used, basically this uses a barrel roll preset. So I've modified my profiles to actually put barrel roll on the derby roll effect, which means as I move this, the derbies rotate. And then as I go back down to 0, the derbies stop rotating. And I've basically done that by changing the channel type of this effect on the inside the profile to a barrel roll effect. So if you tune in tomorrow, I'll show you how to make some of these changes to your fixture profiles. But it's a nice little extra control you have there. So there we have it. That's laser bars. That's pretty much all I've got to say on it for today. Let's open it out to some questions. Piers, are you in the room?
Hello, I am indeed. How is everyone today? Okay, so I'm just going through the comment section now. There isn't a great deal of questions to actually answer because you've actually covered it already, so that's always good. I've got a question here from Stephen, who is asking, is there any documentation that lists the channel types and descriptions that the Light Rider or MyDMX Go app use, such as shutter versus dimmer, gobos, etc.?
That's a nice question. There actually isn't any documentation about the inner workings of the app and how it interprets different channels. I suppose we could write some documentation. What do you reckon, Piers?
I think that's certainly within my remit. It's something that I can work on.
You've just given
future tasks of troubleshooting to do. So.
Who was it who asked that question?
Stephen, I'm going to completely mispronounce the surname here, but Montenbolt.
Okay, Stephen, you've just given Piers another week's work. Nice one. Yeah, in fact, to be honest, the only reason we don't have that documentation is the whole concept of Light Rider was that it's supposed to just be simple plug and play. But I appreciate that for some more advanced users, especially now we've got the new profile editor, it can be useful to understand how Light Rider interprets the channels inside the fixture profile in the app. So just like you said, you know, how the subs interpret the dimmer channels, how the strobes interpret the shutter channels.
Okay, I'm just having a little look through, just trying to see if you've got any more sort of questions come up. A lot of people seem to be using the Gig Bar 2 as well, so hopefully what we've sort of presented in this tutorial will apply to that fixture as well. But obviously if you have got some problems with that one, drop us an email and I'll be able to pick that up.
Yeah, what we often find is, so for example, with this KLS laser bar, Piers, how many years have we been getting emails like every week for years, right, about this fixture?
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna go to Tommen and just buy it. And even after we'd checked the user manual and we'd made it to the best of our knowledge, actually plugging it in, we found there were some things that weren't totally clear in the user manual. So if we ever make a profile for you and it doesn't work perfectly, it's not our incompetence. It's just that sometimes these user manuals are not clear enough at all. For example, this for this light, one of the channels said the strobes had a dimmer. They don't have a dimmer. You can't dim them. They're either on or they're off. So yeah, sometimes it's useful to have a bit of your help where we can send you a profile. You can try it with your fixture, tell us what's working, what's not working, and then we can tweak that profile.
We've got Peter Summers who's asking, wasn't there a list available in the old profile builder?
A list available?
A list of presets and channel types. I think we'll be covering
Oh
profile builder
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, there is. Yeah, there is a full list of presets and channel types inside the profile builder, so you can see what's available. But Light Rider doesn't use all of them, and it doesn't always interpret all of them. So maybe in future we'll make some documentation on how Light Rider deals with those different channel types.
Okay, just seeing what other questions we've got going on. Okay. I think that is most of the questions that are related to this particular topic. I'm just trying to keep it related to that. Any other sort of unrelated questions I'll field in the comment section myself.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Were there any final questions, like unrelated, or any questions you think it's worth mentioning?
Possibly
here,
yes. We got a question from Narvesh here, who is asking, will there be any updates so that the LR512 can be hardwired to the iPad? Now, I know we covered it in a topic the other day,
yeah.
but could be just to quickly recap for those joining us.
Sure, yeah. So basically, with iPad, you can use anything that doesn't require a driver. So anything that requires that uses the basic USB systems. So for example, an audio interface, so like a sound card, it doesn't necessarily need a driver. It can use it's called a USB device class. So that can be used with an iPad. Then you've got MIDI, so MIDI's built into an iPad. Now there's no USB device class for DMX. We have to make our own driver to be able to communicate with DMX. So that means it can't be used with iPad. Now, you might find there's some equipment out there which does work with iPad. Basically, for it to work with iPad, we have to get in touch with Apple. We have to sign up to a special service. I think it's called the MFC program. We have to post quarterly reports to Apple. We have to use components that Apple tell us to use inside our hardware, and we have to post quarterly reports to Apple. Use Apple's approved factories as well. They've got a list of approved factories where we've got to get the thing made. It is next to impossible, honestly. So for the wired version, it's going to be Android, I'm afraid.
Okay, I believe that is most of the questions covered.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks everyone again for joining us. I hope this helped with your laser bars. Post your pictures, any questions, post them in Facebook or create a support ticket on our website. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about Light Cloud and Profile Builder. Warning, it's a little bit advanced, so it's for more of the technical people out there. So I'll see you later.